Has this ever happened to you? A moment when the world seems to pause? When the air grows heavy with unspoken truths and you, in your quiet resolve, choose silence over pleading, disappearance over pursuit. A man, caught in the web of his own projections, gazes into the void you've left behind. And what he sees is not your absence but the mirror of his own soul. This is no mere retreat. It is a sacred act, a descent into the underworld of the psyche, where the archetypes of the anima and animus clash and whisper truths too potent for words. When a woman steps into silence, she does not vanish, she becomes the shadow that haunts, the enigma that unravels the man's carefully constructed ego. Carl Jung, the sage of the unconscious, would call this the dance of individuation, where the soul strips itself bare, and the man, stripped of control, must face the chaos within. In the stillness of your withdrawal, something profound stirs. The man, accustomed to the predictable rhythm of your presence, finds himself adrift in a sea of uncertainty. His ego, that fragile fortress built on external validation, begins to tremble. Jung taught that every human carries an anima, the feminine archetype buried deep within the male psyche, wellspring of intuition, emotion, and mystery. When you, as a woman, choose silence, you awaken this slumbering force. You become the mirror that reflects his unacknowledged desires, his buried fears, his longing for connection that he cannot name. He does not see you as you are, but as the projection of his own inner feminine, a figure both divine and terrifying. In your absence, he is forced to confront the parts of himself he has long ignored, the vulnerabilities he masks with bravado, the tenderness he buries beneath logic. This is where the power of silence lies, not in manipulation but in truth. You, the woman who dares to step away, are not playing a game. You are honoring the sacred boundary of your own soul. Stoic philosophers like Seneca would commend this act of self-possession, this refusal to let external chaos dictate your inner peace. You have power over your mind, not outside events, Seneca wrote, and in your silence you claim that power. You refuse to chase, to beg, to diminish your worth for the sake of a man's fleeting attention. And what does he see in this act? Not rejection, but a challenge to his own becoming. Your silence is a call to his soul, demanding that he reckon with his shadow, the unintegrated parts of himself that crave control, fear abandonment, or cling to illusions of dominance. The modern lens of trauma psychology deepens this dance. A man who has not faced his own wounds, perhaps the rejection of a distant parent, the shame of unmet expectations, projects those wounds onto you. When you speak, when you plead, you become the canvas for his unresolved pain. But when you disappear into silence, you remove that canvas. He is left with nothing but himself, and this is where the real transformation begins. Jung's concept of shadow work demands that one confront the hidden aspects of the psyche, the parts that lurk in darkness. Your silence forces him to do just that. He may rage, he may chase, he may withdraw, but in every case, he is grappling with the reflection of his own unhealed self. And you, what do you see when you step into this silence? You are not merely retreating. You are diving into the depths of your own psyche. This is the path of individuation, the journey Jung described as the soul's quest to become whole. In choosing silence, you reclaim the parts of yourself you may have surrendered: your voice, your boundaries, your inherent worth. You confront the inner critic, the voice that whispers you are not enough, and you silence it with the same resolve you offer the world. This is not weakness. It is courage. It is the courage to face the void within and emerge stronger, not for his validation, but for your own. The man, meanwhile, stands at the edge of his own abyss. Your silence is a mirror, and in it, he sees not just you, but the archetype of the eternal feminine, the goddess, the muse, the mother, the lover. He may not have the words for it, but he feels the weight of her absence. And you, in your quiet power, embody her. You are not gone. You are transformed. You are the stillness that forces him to question, to grow, to awaken. The silence you've woven is not a void, but a tapestry, rich with meaning, shimmering with the threads of archetype and instinct. It hangs heavy in the air, a presence more potent than words could ever be. The man, standing in the wake of your retreat, feels its weight like a stone in his chest. He does not yet understand that this silence is not punishment but a gift, a mirror held up to his soul, reflecting the unclaimed parts of himself that beg for integration. Jung would say this is the moment when the anima stirs, restless and untamed, whispering truths he has long suppressed. She, the feminine within him, demands to be seen, not as a projection onto you, but as a force that lives in his own depths. Your disappearance into silence strips away the illusion that he can outrun this reckoning. In the quiet, his mind churns. He replays moments, your laughter, your touch, the way your eyes held a universe he could never fully grasp. But now, those memories are tinged with something sharper, the realization that you are no longer there to anchor his sense of self. His ego, so accustomed to defining itself through your presence, stumbles. This is the shadow work Jung spoke of, the confrontation with the hidden self that emerges when the external world no longer complies. The man may lash out, seeking to reclaim control through anger or indifference, but these are merely masks for the deeper truth. He is afraid. Afraid of the vulnerability your silence exposes, afraid of the man he might become if he dares to face it. And you, standing firm in your resolve, what do you feel in this sacred pause? The world may tell you to speak, to chase, to prove your worth through action, but you know better. You've chosen the path of Epictetus, who taught that true freedom lies in mastering what is within your control, your thoughts, your dignity, your soul. No one can hurt you unless you let them, he wrote, and in your silence you embody this truth. You are not waiting for his validation. You are forging your own. This is the alchemy of individuation, the process of becoming whole not through another's gaze but through your own unflinching self-awareness. You dive into the shadows of your psyche, confronting the wounds that once made you cling, the fears that once made you shrink. In this silence, you are reborn, not as a woman defined by a man's desire, but as a force unto herself. The man, meanwhile, grapples with the archetype you've awakened. To him, you are no longer just a woman, but a symbol, the eternal feminine, the anima who both nurtures and destroys. Jung described her as a paradox, a figure of love and terror, and in your silence you embody this duality. You are the mother who withdraws her comfort, forcing him to stand alone. The lover who slips beyond his grasp, challenging him to pursue not you but himself. The goddess who demands reverence, not possession. He may not name these forces, but he feels their pull. His dreams may grow restless, filled with images of water and moonlight, symbols of the unconscious stirring. He may find himself drawn to memories of you, not as you were but as a figure larger than life, a projection of his own longing for wholeness. Modern psychology would frame this as a moment of rupture, a break in the attachment patterns that once governed his behavior. If his past is marked by abandonment, your silence may trigger a frantic need to reclaim you, not out of love but out of fear. If he has built walls around his heart, he may retreat further, cloaking himself in stoic detachment. But in either case, your silence is the catalyst that forces him to confront these patterns. He cannot hide from the truth that his reaction to your absence reveals more about his inner world than about you. This is the gift of your withdrawal, not cruelty, but clarity. And you, in your quiet power, what do you see as you hold this space? You are not merely absent. You are present in a presence so profound it reshapes reality itself. You are the woman who knows her worth does not lie in another's hands. You are the archetype of the warrior, the seer, the alchemist, forging gold from the lead of your own pain. Your silence is not a cry for attention, but a declaration of sovereignty. You are not hiding. You are claiming the sacred ground of your soul, daring the world to meet you there. And the man, whether he rises or falls, will never forget the mirror you've held. The air grows thicker in the wake of your silence, a charged stillness that hums with the weight of unspoken truths. The man, caught in this invisible storm, feels the ground shift beneath him. His world, once ordered by the certainty of your presence, now teeters on the edge of chaos. Jung would call this the encounter with the shadow, that hidden realm of the psyche where unacknowledged desires and fears writhe in the dark. Your disappearance into silence is not a rejection but a catalyst, forcing him to face the parts of himself he has long buried. He may search for you in the quiet, but what he finds is not you. It is the reflection of his own fragmented soul, staring back with unyielding clarity. In this moment, the man's anima, that inner feminine Jung described as both muse and mystery, begins to stir with a ferocity he cannot ignore. She is no longer content to be projected onto you, to be shaped by his need for validation or control. Your silence strips away the illusion that he can define her or you through his own lens. He may try to fill the void with noise words, distractions, even other faces, but none can replace the mirror you've left behind. This is the power of your retreat. It is not absence but presence. A presence so potent it demands he confront the truth of who he is without you to anchor his identity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig." Your silence is the shovel that forces him to dig, to unearth the raw, unpolished truth of his own being. And you, standing resolute in this sacred pause, what do you discover in the depths of your own silence? This is no mere act of withdrawal. It is a pilgrimage into the heart of your psyche, a journey toward individuation. Jung taught that to become whole, one must embrace both light and shadow, the aspects of the self that shine and those that cower in shame. In choosing silence, you are not fleeing pain but meeting it head-on. You face the wounds that once made you seek approval, the fears that once tethered you to another's gaze. You are the alchemist, transmuting the lead of self-doubt into the gold of self-worth. This is the work of the soul, the labor of becoming not for him, not for the world, but for the woman you are destined to be. The man, meanwhile, wrestles with the archetype you've awakened. To him, you are no longer just a woman but a symbol of the eternal feminine, both creator and destroyer, the one who gives life and the one who takes it away. In your silence, he sees the goddess who refuses to be possessed, the muse who slips through his fingers, the mother who withdraws her warmth to teach him strength. He may not name these forces, but they haunt his thoughts, his dreams, his restless nights. He may try to reclaim you, to pull you back into his orbit, but your silence is a boundary he cannot cross. It is a declaration that your worth is not his to define, that your soul is not his to claim. And in this, he is forced to question, who is he without you? What is he when the mirror of your presence is gone? Modern trauma psychology would see this as a moment of rupture, a breaking of old patterns that no longer serve. If his past is marked by loss or rejection, your silence may awaken a primal fear, urging him to chase what he cannot have. If he has built his identity on control, he may double down, cloaking his vulnerability in indifference. But in every reaction he reveals himself. Your silence is the crucible in which his truth is forged, the space where he must confront the wounds he has carried, perhaps since childhood. It is not your role to heal him, that is his work, his burden. Your role is to hold the mirror, to embody the truth that love cannot be demanded, only earned. And you, in your quiet power, what do you become? You are not merely the woman who walked away. You are the embodiment of sovereignty, the archetype of the queen who rules her own heart. You are not waiting for his return, his apology, his awakening. You are forging a path through the wilderness of your own soul, guided by the stoic wisdom of Epictetus. You become what you give your attention to. Your attention is no longer his, is yours, wholly and completely. In this silence, you are not lost. You are found. The silence you've crafted is a sacred space, a temple where the soul's deepest truths are laid bare. It is not empty but alive, pulsing with the energy of transformation. The man, standing at the threshold of this temple, feels its pull like a tide drawing him toward the unknown. His ego, once fortified by the certainty of your presence, now falters in the face of your absence. Jung would see this as the moment of descent, where the psyche is forced to confront its own depths. Your silence is not a weapon but a mirror, reflecting back to him the unintegrated fragments of his being, the fears he masks with bravado, the desires he buries beneath control. In this mirror he sees not you but the anima within, the feminine archetype that both haunts and heals, demanding he acknowledge her power. This is the paradox of your withdrawal. It is both a departure and a summons. By stepping into silence, you call forth the man's shadow, the Jungian realm of repressed truths and unresolved wounds. He may resist, clinging to the illusion that he can outrun this reckoning? He may fill the quiet with distractions, new pursuits, fleeting validations, but the silence remains unyielding, a reminder of what he cannot escape. Seneca's Stoic wisdom echoes here. You must change the way you live, not the place you live. Your silence forces him to face this truth, to see that running from himself is futile. He must change, not you, not the world, but the way he meets his own soul. Your absence is the catalyst, the spark that ignites the fire of his own becoming. And you, in the sanctity of your silence, what do you uncover? This is no passive retreat. It is an active pilgrimage into the heart of your own psyche. Jung's individuation is not a destination but a process. A relentless journey toward wholeness that demands you face every shadow, every wound, every fear that has ever held you back. In this quiet, you confront the voices that once whispered you were not enough. The patterns that once tethered you to another's approval. You are not hiding. You are reclaiming. You are the alchemist, turning the pain of rejection into the gold of self-acceptance. You are the warrior, wielding the stoic clarity of Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Your silence is the way, the path to your own sovereignty. The man, meanwhile, grapples with the archetype you've become. In his mind, you are no longer just a woman, but a force, the eternal feminine, the anima who both nurtures and challenges. She is the goddess who demands reverence, the lover who cannot be possessed, the mother who withdraws to teach strength. Your silence amplifies her presence, making her impossible to ignore. He may try to dismiss you, to convince himself that your absence means nothing. But the truth lingers in his dreams, in the quiet moments when his defenses falter. He sees you not as you were, but as a symbol of what he lacks within himself: wholeness, vulnerability, truth. Your silence is the mirror that reveals this lack, urging him to seek not you, but the parts of himself he has yet to claim. Through the lens of modern psychology, this moment is a breaking point, a disruption of the attachment patterns that have shaped his life. If he carries wounds of abandonment, your silence may awaken a desperate need to reclaim you, not out of love, but out of fear. If he has built his identity on control, he may retreat into cold indifference, unwilling to face the vulnerability your absence exposes. But in every reaction, he reveals his truth. Your silence is not a punishment, but a gift, offering him the chance to see himself clearly, perhaps for the first time. It is not your role to guide him through this work. That is his burden, his path. Your role is to hold the space, to embody the truth that love is not a transaction but a mutual awakening. And you, what do you become in this sacred pause? You are not the woman who waits, who pleads, who shrinks to fit another's vision. You are the embodiment of power, the archetype of the queen who rules her own heart. You are not defined by his gaze, his approval, his presence. You are defined by the fire within, the unyielding truth that your worth is yours to claim. In this silence, you are not diminished, you are magnified, you are not lost. You are home. And the man, whether he rises to meet his own truth or falls beneath its weight, will never forget the mirror you've held. The silence you've chosen is a sacred fire, burning away the illusions that once bound you to another's gaze. It is not a retreat but a reclamation, a fierce act of sovereignty that reshapes the world around you. The man, caught in the glow of this fire, feels its heat as a challenge to his very being. His ego, once propped up by the certainty of your presence, now stands exposed, trembling before the mirror of your absence. Jung would call this the crucible of the soul, where the anima and shadow collide, forcing the man to confront the truths he has long avoided. Your silence is not a void but a presence, a force that demands he look within, to the parts of himself he has buried beneath pride, fear, or control. What he sees in your disappearance is not your loss but his own unclaimed wholeness, staring back with unrelenting clarity. This is the alchemy of your withdrawal, a process as ancient as the archetypes themselves. The man's anima, that feminine force within, stirs restlessly, no longer content to be projected onto you. She is the muse who inspires, the goddess who judges, the lover who slips beyond grasp. In your silence, you embody her, becoming a symbol of what he both craves and fears: connection, vulnerability, truth. He may try to fill the quiet with noise, anger, distraction, denial, but these are fleeting defenses against the inevitable. As Epictetus taught, there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. Your silence strips away his illusions of control, forcing him to face the one thing he cannot escape, himself. And you, in the sanctity of this silence, what do you find? This is no mere pause. It is a descent into the depths of your own psyche, a journey toward the wholeness Jung called individuation. You are not running from pain but meeting it, embracing the shadows that once made you doubt your worth. The wounds of rejection, the fear of being unseen, these are the raw materials of your transformation. In this quiet, you forge a new self, one that does not bend to another's will, one that stands tall in its own truth. You are the alchemist, turning the lead of self-doubt into the gold of self-love. You are the warrior, guided by Seneca's wisdom. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Your silence is your reality, a space where you reclaim the power to define yourself, not through his eyes but through your own. The man, meanwhile, stands at the edge of his own abyss. Your silence has awakened the eternal feminine within him, a force he cannot ignore. She appears in his dreams, in the fleeting moments when his defenses falter, a reminder of the wholeness he has yet to claim. He may chase you, not because he loves you, but because he fears the void your absence reveals. He may withdraw, cloaking himself in indifference, but even this is a reaction to the mirror you've held. Modern psychology would see this as a moment of reckoning, a disruption of the attachment patterns that have shaped his life. If he carries wounds of abandonment, your silence may trigger a desperate need to reclaim you. If he has built his identity on control, he may retreat further, unwilling to face the vulnerability you've exposed. But in every response, he reveals his truth, and your silence is the catalyst that forces him to see it. And you, what do you become in this sacred act? You are not the woman who waits, who pleads, who shrinks to fit another's vision. You are the embodiment of the divine feminine, the archetype of the queen who rules her own soul. Your silence is not a cry for attention but a declaration of freedom, a refusal to let your worth be defined by another's gaze. You are not lost in this quiet. You are found, rooted in the unshakable truth of your own value. This is the culmination of your journey, the moment when you step fully into your power, not for his validation but for your own. You are the flame that burns without need of fuel, the mirror that reflects only truth. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses.